tooling on a lathe. So I have here laid out the different tools you'll probably be using. We have a rougher, a finisher, a threader, knurler, and a parter. Now, this does parting, as its name suggests. This is knurling, as the name suggests. This is threading, as the name suggests. Usually the name of the tool will correspond to the operation you're probably going to be doing. The only one that's a bit different is something called the finisher and the rougher. Both of these are used for turning and facing, so that's cool. But one is used for cutting a lot of material and producing rough cuts, and the other one is for producing smaller and finer cuts and producing a better finish, hence the names, rougher and finisher. Now, before you use any tool, you're going to want to make sure that you check the inserts. The inserts are the ones that are actually doing the cutting. In the rougher, it's this yellow piece. The finisher is this black piece. On the threader, it's this little triangular shuriken looking thing. The knurler can't really be changed, so if it is damaged, the best thing to do is let the shop supervisor know, and he'll take care of that. And the same for the parter. The tool for the parter most likely will not be available to you, so if you notice that the parter is broken, just let the shop supervisor know. So now, let's go into actually changing the insert itself. Most people, when they're changing the inserts, they don't tend to do it at all. They just put the tool back and get another tool. But what happens is, at the end of the day or at the end of the week, all the tools are going to be the same because everyone's, getting the better one, getting the newer one, and no one ends up changing them. So the best thing to do for your own benefit is to change the tool bit, because then you get a fresh insert that you can use to produce a really good, finish. So you're going to need an Allen key set. An Allen key set will allow you to loosen the two screws that hold an insert in place. Now, you're going to have to do a bit of trial and error to figure out the sizes of the two screws that hold them in place, but it shouldn't be too hard. For the rougher, you need a size 1/8 and 5/64. You're going to start with the top screw. And remember, in both cases, for the first and second screw, you just want to screw it out enough that you can, work with the insert. You don't want to completely remove the screw. So give it a bit of a crank and only unscrew until this little black thing that holds the insert in place moves out of the way naturally. After that, once it's moved, you don't want to move it anymore. You don't want it to come completely out. You can put the next Allen key aside. Oh, this one's jammed. This is what happens when you don't clean the inside of the screws, guys. Make sure you clean everything when you're doing this. Use your next Allen key. I got the wrong one, guys. So it's actually not 5/64, it turns out to be 3/32s. So, the same goes for the insert. You want to only loosen the screw enough that the insert comes out. If you don't know how much to do, just loosen it and do about 1/4 of a turn at a time. So, 1/4 of the turn, feel it. Is it loose? Does it look like it's going to come out? If it doesn't, do another 1/4 turn. Is it loose? Does it want to come out? And just keep doing 1/4 of a turn until it comes out eventually. So once you've loosened it enough that it wiggles, you should just wiggle it until it wants to come out. Sometimes what happens is you keep loosening and loosening and loosening it, and it doesn't come out, but it might just be there's chips in the way and some debris that's jammed it in place. So it's always a good idea to not keep loosening it and giving it a wiggle ever so often. If you feel it wiggle, don't take a chance, stop loosening it and try to wiggle it out of place. So now that it's out of place, inspect the actual insert itself. See if there's a side of it which you can use. So you'll notice that there's a obtuse angle and acute angle, a point on each side. You're going to want to use the point that sticks out more rather than the point that doesn't stick out as much, and one that when you inspect doesn't look like has any breaks in the edges. Now, for the sake of demonstration, we're going to get a new insert and show you how to install it. For the old insert, if all the sides are chipped and broken or you think it needs to be thrown out, it's always a safe bet to go to the shop supervisor and see what he says. So keep it and put it back into the place of the new insert that you just took out for now. Clean the inside. If you notice there's an excessive amount of chips or anything else, and then you can proceed to put the new insert in. Once the new insert is sitting nice, flat, and flush, you can start with a screw that holds the insert itself and tighten it, and then you can proceed with the next screw. Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that underneath the insert itself, there's something silver, and that's called the backer. You have to also inspect the backer to make sure it's not chipped, otherwise it will need replacement as well. The shop does carry replacements for backers, but in most cases you won't have to do it yourself. It's a more tedious process. So always talk to the shop supervisor and let him know, and he'll do it for you. So now that the first screw is in place and secure, make sure everything's clean and nothing's in the way, and tighten your second screw. The second screw should bring down the insert holder, this little black thing right here, and that's it, you're done. Your tool bit has been changed. So now that you've changed your insert, make sure you put your Allen keys back, because these are very small and they're easy to lose. And it only takes about a second. Put it back. Once they're back, the next person can change the tool bit or the insert if it breaks. Okay, so you want to pay attention to the tool itself. You'll notice that all the tools on the table have a square or rectangular shank, and this is called a shank, by the way. But we have two types of tool holders in the shop. One that's rectangular and one that's not, one that's more V-blocked, sort of say. This is meant for round tool bits. For example, anything that has a tool bit or insert but is held in a round piece. That would go in this and be secured in place. But because all these tools are not held in round shanks, you're going to want to make sure that you secure it in a square shank tool holder. Keep that in mind, it's very important. Another thing that's very important is to make sure that there's no oil or chips or anything in the way, so that when you put the tool itself inside, it's held perfectly flush. So give it a quick wipe with a cloth on your hand. Do the same for the tool itself. Give it a quick wipe. Put them in place. One thing you're going to want to know or keep note of is when you're tightening and securing your tool in the tool holder, you don't want the tool to be sticking out of the tool holder too long. This is a danger to yourself and to others around you, because if the tool goes loose, it can come flying out and injure someone. So always make sure that you secure as much surface area with the tool holder as you can. So let it fall in as much as it can. If you want to, you can give it a bit of a push back just so it doesn't contact. And then first start by hand and hand tighten it. Once it's not so loose, then you can grab this tool, which has a little pattern inside that matches the screw heads, and you can tighten the tool. Now you just want to give it a little bit of a hand tighten. You don't have to do like a Superman crank, but just make sure it's nice and snug. Now your tool is securely held in your tool holder, and you can use this to make cuts, rough cuts, because it's a rougher. This thing applies to the finisher as well, and anything with square shank. Once you have all the tools you need ready, we're gonna go over to the tool post and use something called a live center to ensure that the height of the tool or the insert itself is perfectly level with the machine or the tailstock. We do this because if the tool is not completely level, you're going to be cutting the circular piece above or below, and that itself is also very risky. If the tool bit is under the workpiece, then the workpiece will be pushing down on the tool bit and it'll be wearing it out quicker. If your tool bit is above the workpiece, then it'll be rubbing against. It won't really be cutting against the bit itself. But if it's perfectly on center, then it'll be cutting and making a very smooth finish. So now we're gonna go over to the machine and we're gonna show you how this is done. This is a tailstock, and this is a quill. The quill in the tailstock holds the tool. One thing you're gonna wanna know is that there's a little stopper inside, so if the quill is not out enough, the tool will not hold in place. The tools you can put in place are a live center or a drill chuck, but we're going to be using a live center. Before you insert any tool, make sure you wipe the shank of the tool and the inside and make sure there's no chips in the way. Then, after making sure it's far enough out, you can insert and jam the tool into the quill. Now be careful. If you retract the tool in far enough, the tool will pop out. So when removing the tool, always have your hand in place to stop the tool from falling. And always have it enough out that the tool can be inserted properly. This is the tool post. This holds the tool holder. And using the Lathe center, we can ensure that the height or the level of the tool is correct so that we can machine accurately and safely. So let me show you how it's done. There's 2 slots which correspond to these 2 little shapes on the tool post. You want to make sure it lines up. Now sometimes the tool won't go down, and this is because you'll notice a gear-like pattern. This needs to mesh and match with this internal gear pattern. So you have to match them both. This requires you to wiggle this part of the tool post. Once it slides down, you'll notice it's still a bit loose. In order to tighten it, you need to take this handle, tool post handle as it's known, and tighten it in either this direction or the opposite direction. That's how you just secure the tool. Now, to level the tool, you need to use this knob, and this adjusts the height. Using the same tool you used last time to tighten the tool, you're going to loosen the knob. This will allow you to manually adjust the height of the tool until it's at the appropriate level. Turn this all the way around till the point of the tool is in the direction of the tailstock. Don't tighten it. Bring the tool as close as you can to the tailstock without touching it. So once you're close to the Lathe center, you're going to want to bring yourself down to eye level. And using the knob that you loosened earlier, you're going to want to either lower or raise the insert until it's exactly on the same level as the point of the Lathe center. Once you do that, you're not done yet, because you have to remember when you tighten the tool, the height changes. So you have to pay attention and compensate for it. Once you like the height of the tool, you can lock the knob back in place using the tool you used earlier. And now you should be okay to reposition the tool and have the same height. So that is how you set up your tool for the engine lathe. Soon enough, you'll begin machining on your workpiece.